All right, so you're listening to the podcast. You're like, hey, I'm not in Ireland. How do I get in touch? Well, TuneIn has you covered. That's how you can check us out live when we're on the radio. You go to TuneIn and download the app, or you can check out the live streams on nerdtoknowmedia.com or Phoenix 92.5 FM. If you want to get in contact with us, it's very easy. Nerd to Know Media everywhere. Nerd to Know Media on Twitter. Nerd to Know Media Instagram. Nerd to Know Media on Twitch. Nerd to Know Media at gmail.com if you want to reach out via email. Hope to hear from you soon.
Broadcasting from the Blanchistan Centre. This is Phoenix FM.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies and share pornography with one another.
According to the Nerd Index, you should be upside down in a junior high toilet around the clock.
This is your favorite monument. We're doing live. Time goes in, time goes out. Never miscommunication. It's over 9,000.
My name is Foxy.
The balls are in there. Do a barrel roll. Don't face me, bro. It's a trap. I'm a firing believer. Time to Hey, Charlie, wake up. Oh, God, oh, man.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Nerd to Know Basis Show, airing on Phoenix 92.5 FM and all those other wonderful places on the internet such as Spotify, YouTube and of course our own website. I am Cian and with me this week are Dara and Kev. How are you both doing this week?
There's grave moments of silence.
It was grave moment.
And I think me and Dara are both mourning things. I think we're both mourning entirely different things though.
I'm very sad that the Star Wars Hotel doesn't exist anymore.
Any particular reason?
Because I've kind of fallen down the rabbit hole of like Jenny Nicholson again, and I watched her video and I'm like, oh man, I really wanted to go to that. But then I'm like,
but it is a scam. It was a scam.
How could you watch that video and want to go?
Because I love Star Wars.
No, you don't.
No, hold on, I do. That's the thing. Star Wars. There's no one who hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans.
But also, because you love Star Wars, you wanted to go to that?
Yeah, I mean, you get to live the Star Wars.
I think pretty categorically you didn't, and I think that was kind of the point of that video.
No, excuse me. I saw a thing on the internet about this the other day. Like, you know, if you hit the button, would you live in Star Wars? People are not happy living in the Star Wars universe.
Listen,
unless you're like a queen or a princess or something, you would easily leave the Star Wars universe to come live in ours. Like, most of the people are like junk traders or slaves or soldiers. Like,
some
who
say that we're already living in the Star Wars universe. Whoa.
Listen.
Say that again, Kev?
Some people might say we're already living in Star Wars.
Yuck.
The point that she brings up is all around the app, right? And the app doesn't work or whatever, right? And then which look, could be right. I don't know. I didn't get a chance to use that version of it. But for anyone that doesn't know, in the Disney parks, you can download the Disney Play app, which has a bunch of different things, mainly involved around games for different parks across the whole Disney World and Disneyland. It's mainly America that they use it for. But the Star Wars land has a data pad, right? And you can use the data pad for certain things, and it is a lot of fun. But apparently the Star Wars hotel, the Starcruiser, had its own version of it, its own like offshoot on it. And she says, "Oh, that doesn't work." And I'm like, okay, fair enough. But then she badmouths the other one, like the actual just normal data pad, which, to be honest with you, I have the most fun of. I've completed that data pad myself, and I'm like, I don't understand what you were doing, Jenny, but
okay, all right. Let me just.
My problem is that she doesn't think it's fun. So I'm like, I don't know what you were doing. Here's the thing: Jenny's a first order person too. She always plays the Imperial side. So I mean, I'm not wrong, but in this case, we differ.
Yeah, but just because someone else is in the First Order doesn't make you right.
I think we're getting caught up again in the minutiae. What I'm saying is, right, in the app, right, you can either be a resistance, a smuggler, or an Imperial, right? The smuggler missions are very boring. right? And the Resistance are head wrecking. So you're only really left with the First Order, and when you complete the level, because it's a game, the whole world is a game, you become a First Order Major. Just is,
Congrats.
yeah, it just is what it is. Now, with
No, it isn't what it isn't.
the real annoying part
You could be
is,
a famous, like, pirate for the good guys, or you could be a captain in the Resistance,
no,
or you
because
could be a Jedi, or
you
anything.
can't. No, see, that's the thing in Star Wars land, you can't be a Jedi. That's the problem with it. Like, you can't. For some reason, it is very limited. Like, that's the biggest issue with the Star Wars land. Like, you can only do so much. You can get a lightsaber, but you're not a force wielder.
Again, you're going to bat to say you want to go to the $6,000 version of this.
Yeah, because you get to use a lightsaber properly. You get to use like the real lightsaber that they made, and also, it's you might get to get Chewbacca arrested, which looks fun.
I, I'm genuinely speechless. Like,
I don't think I want to arrest Chewbacca. I don't think that is something I want to do.
I'm sorry. Are you upset that you can't pay €6,000 to go all the way to some desert in America where you get to be on not even the losing side of Star Wars, not even the evil side of Star Wars, but the second generation cosplay empire and lose there too?
Ideally, no, right? Ideally, and also Orlando's not a desert. It's right beside the MGM.
No,
the
no, of
Hollywood
course. Yeah, no, of course. Correct me. It's
It's a
swamp.
No, because a desert would be like Tatooine, and that'd be cooler.
Yeah, no, okay. Orlando at one point was a swamp, but we're on the minutia, so it is in the theme park. No, look, ideally I would have liked to have been like I think the major problem with the Star Cruiser was they didn't fix the time. Like the Old Republic would have been fun, even the OG trilogy would have been fun, the prequels would have been fun. But look, it's the only thing that was there.
Ideally, I think you want what a lot of people want, which was a better Star Wars hotel and not a bad one for $6,000.
But what I'm saying is, right, either right now we have no Star Wars hotel or we had some Star Wars hotel. And
Yes,
I
you've
would
got
like
the one
some.
in France that's actually like affordable.
I know, but that you can't be the first
Bring
order.
a lightsaber.
What?
Bring a lightsaber to the hotel in France and, have affordable crack in the Irish sense.
See, that's fair in the Irish sense. See, that's fair, but it's also just kind of like a bit of a bummer.
Well, I agree that, like, yeah, it would have been nice. I mean, I get the whole roadmap thing. You start with the sequels because then unleashing the prequel one 2 years down the line will bring in a new excitement and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
But I don't consider it a huge loss either.
See, okay, the price was crazy, and again, that's the reason why I didn't do it because I could just not justify it. I mean, no one has that much money lying around. It's insane. However, um, in my head, it's like the Library of Alexandria burning down was a big loss, and then like one or two rungs down from it is the Star Wars Hotel not existing anymore.
No, because like the Library of Alexandria is something we'll never know what was in it. In this case, we know it was bad, and there's quite a lot of evidence to support that.
No, see, Jenny Nicholson's video, and look, she's great. I'm a huge fan. I think we're all huge fans of her, right? But her major problem was she didn't use the app correctly. I actually have. Now, look, I spend hours in the park, like building up my rank and working on the app and stuff like that. I had a great time there. So I don't think she gave that a fair chance.
Yeah, but she's also one of hundreds. Like, we've got she's one video out of dozens who say the same thing.
And plus, like, I did VR in the Jervis Center the weekend just there, and they like very clearly like explained how it works and all that kind of stuff. And if I'd paid 6,000 euro to do it, and they said, "Oh, well, you played it wrong," I wouldn't say, "Oh, I played it wrong." I'd say either it's broken or you taught me wrong.
That's fair.
I think putting that on a consumer is completely wrong-headed.
Yeah, no, that's true. But I would have played it correctly. I would have had a good time.
You can stay home and play Star Wars Battlefront.
Well, that's the only
play
choice
it
I have
correctly.
now. That's the only choice I have now, Keen and Kev. So, it's unfortunate.
Oh, well,
No,
actually,
I don't think it is.
Incidentally, did either of you finish the what's it called, Skeleton Crew Star Wars thing? Since we're completely off the rails topic wise.
Actually, hold on a
You
second.
know
Before
I
we get to
didn't.
that, right? Can I just say one thing, right? So in the Star Wars land, everything is focused around the Resistance, right? Speaking
Right.
of Skeleton Crew, like, you know, they have Rise of the Resistance where you're helping the Resistance. You can go on the Millennium Falcon where you're doing stuff for the Resistance. I'm like, listen, I don't want to do that. Can I be a TIE fighter pilot? Can I, go and, help you lads out? No, 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 no. You can't do any of that. It's like,
Again, why are you picking the Empire?
I'm just saying
You're
because
breaking my heart here.
no,
No,
because
Dara, I think you in fact did watch Star Wars wrong.
no, I'm just saying.
I think you did watch it incorrectly.
No, right, because Disney now have a villain land, right? They're building it in the Magic Kingdom because some people just want to have the option of jumping back and forward, and for me, I'm just like that would be cool to be a TIE pilot, just to be like, hey, you get to shoot down the rebels. That'd be awesome.
Stop picking the. First of all, TIE fighters. I've played Rogue Squadron. They're bloody noisy.
They are. Isn't that cool though? And you get to have the helmet and everything. Listen,
No, if I hopped in a car and when you turn on the engine, it went all the time, I'd get out.
I'm just saying it would be nice to have the option, and unfortunately, we don't have the option, so it's just
Yeah,
a bit
but
of
you
a
just
bummer.
presented a scenario where you could have picked any Star Wars ship and you still picked TIE Fighter.
Well, that's because TIE fighters are cool. They make the cool sound.
They're boxy, they're inefficient, they're evil. I should have put that first, really.
Well, I mean, it's just a bit of technology. Technology isn't evil of itself. It's how it's used. I mean, you could be a TIE fighter pilot that like delivers food to orphan children.
Are there any?
Probably.
Source? I know you have them.
Okay, yeah. Look, it's a use
At
that hasn't been
best,
done
all
yet.
I can
But
think of is one time in Rebels they stole a TIE fighter and used it to deliver a box of fruit. But it was
there
still
you
the
go.
Rebels doing it.
There you go. See,
Yeah, but that was the Rebels!
I'm not saying that you'd be an Imperial. You could just be a rebel in a TIE fighter, but TIE fighters are still cool. What
You
I'm
have
saying is,
expressed joining two generations of the Imperials in this 10-minute segment.
I wouldn't particularly want to join the second generation, but it is what it is.
Kian, correction, 15-minute section.
Jesus.
The point is, they should be an option that where like it should be like, you can do the smugglers, you can do the rebels, but there also should be like, hey, if you want to do like just to sample it, where like you can.
Oh, just
Hey,
sample evil.
Tie it
I
on.
remember what Yoda said in The Phantom Menace about, fear leading to anger and all that kind of stuff.
It's just a bit of fun, lads. Come on.
Yeah, but like if there was like an Indiana Jones ride, would you want to go with the
God.
baddies too?
Oh God, they're different things, kid. The baddies.
I don't think they're
it's
that
a-
different. I don't think
trend,
it's that
though.
different.
You could be the baddies.
You could have even gone with the prequels, where they're technically all baddies and all goodies at the same time. Why are you zoning in on this?
Because stormtrooper helmets are cool.
There, we're getting to the heart of it.
Listen, also the stormtrooper gun is also really cool. The best gun in Star Wars.
It never hits anything. You have painted a canvas upon which you could be anything in Star Wars, the Old Republic, Mandalorian, Jedi, whatever. Like, why are you going back to the Imperials who wear awkward armor and always miss?
Well, you can't be a Mandalorian in Star Wars land either.
No, but like, this is your hypothetical scenario.
I can see how that's troublesome, all right, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a pretty sticky wicket you got there, Darren.
You know what? Let's hope that when they finally do like a Knights of the Old Republic thing, Disneyland upgrades into it, because that war was Jedi versus Mandalorians.
That's
a arc
cool.
of that would be great crack.
Yeah, like, look, all I'm saying is, Disney are leaving money on the table for people like me who want to go and experience more than just the Resistance. Because here's the thing, it's always the same thing. Oh, we have to go and do the Imperial base. I'm like, why not help build the outpost and make it better for everybody and improve the internet facilities? No, we have to destroy it. Silly. The waste. I'm just trying to make things better.
You know what? It's a shame you haven't watched like Bad Batch, because Bad Batch actually does a really good job of establishing how like from prequel to sequel, or not prequel to original, I should say, the Empire like changes everything. Like in episode 2, everyone is required to have mandatory passports to leave planet. In episode 3, they have to trade in all their currency for like Imperial currency. Like in the second season, they like frame a load of the senators for killing the clones and replace them with human stormtroopers. So like there are sources for why, like, you know, how we go from A to B, and living in the Empire is crap.
I mean, we have passports now and we use the euro.
I am speechless.
And Dara, would you say we are living in a good scenario?
No, okay, I see your point. I see your point. I see your point.
Okay, sweet mother of Yoda. Have you seen Skeleton Crew?
No, I can't watch those shows.
Kid, I need you to get like down on my level here. This is why I'm not watching Star Wars anymore.
But like the annoying thing is Skeleton Crew is like actually quite good. It's just they've divided it into 8 bits when it should either be a movie or like 4 episodes or something. But unfortunately, we'll never know. People will never know it's good because they released it too slowly, you know? They put the most boring ones up first and expect you to stick with it for 8 weeks, and people are going to completely miss it, especially because it's following up the Acolyte, you know?
Well, I mean, I'm not surprised to hear it's good. It's Treasure Planet. And it's Treasure Island even. And Treasure Island is a good book.
And
Treasure Planet's a good
it's a
movie.
Star Wars thing with no Jedi, no Rebel Alliance, it's just pirates. And it's great fun. Like,
See,
you know.
that wouldn't do anything for me now.
No, because there isn't enough like base Empire stuff in it.
Space Empire stuff is where it's at in Star Wars. It's the source of all the conflict.
Beating them. Oh my god.
But they always beat them. Wouldn't it be fun to just not beat them once?
No!
Oh my god. Okay, can we talk about literally anything else? Switch to.
David Lynch
Let's
there.
do that. We were right. Moving on.
Yeah, that's kind of literally it wasn't even our episode hadn't even come out at this point. In between us recording it and releasing it. They announced the Switch 2. And the thing is it's exactly what we talked. I kind of don't have much to add because it's exactly what we talked about.
Yes.
They didn't tell us anything. They just announced, here's a Switch 2. Now, I actually have a thought on this.
Sure.
Because going off of what I was talking about last week as how they were showing off the demo, or a company allegedly being hired by Nintendo who were producing the product were showing off a demo version at the Consumer Electronics Show. I think Nintendo were getting skittish because of all the leaks, kind of all over the place about it.
Right,
and
you
just
mentioned this last week, yeah.
Yeah, and just had to put out like an announcement just to say in the wild, okay, we knew, like they announced it was coming. We knew it was coming, but now we've seen the model. So okay, the Switch 2 is coming. Here's the model. The point I noticed is at the end of this incredibly detailless promo that just showed off like the actual physical casing, they mentioned a date for a Nintendo Direct where they'd give more details on it and announce games. Did you see when that Direct was?
No.
April.
What's significant April?
Well, no, they've teased an announcement 3 months in advance.
Okay.
What possible reason could they have like tease any announcement that far in advance other than to like put out fires?
Okay, I mean, Dara, as the Archbishop of all things Sega, how do you weigh in here?
Thank you for my title. I appreciate it. That's how I want to be referred to it. I wish it was a Dreamcast.
Point taken.
Thank you. That was like when like Sky News phones into someone. Like, but no, I mean, okay, let me sweeten the deal, Dara. What if this newer upgraded, because like the current Switch has emulators.
Yeah.
What if it had a Dreamcast emulator on it?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I hoped the actual Switch would be. and it just wasn't powerful enough. But it's weird because, like, on one hand, it wasn't powerful enough, and then on the other hand, it really was. And I mean, like the current Switch could run at its max level, like PS4 games from a couple of years ago, relatively well. So the issue really isn't because I have a look at some of the specs that leaked here, and they look okay. But the problem is Nintendo locked this down so much that you never actually get to use it. What I would be more interested in this, and the only reason why I'd even consider buying one, would be if they opened up it at an OS level where you could actually like do something with the console. Because like with the Switch, you can hack it, you can mod it, you can do loads of things, but it's an awful lot of effort with a very low return rate. My hope would be with something, and Nintendo won't do it because they just don't.
Yeah.
One of the hardest things I ever like actually modded was a Wii. The Wii's take ages to mod. It's crazy. But yeah, like that would be interesting. Like if they opened it up to allow you to run mod emulators on it, but they will not do that. There's no way. So there's very little here that would get me to be excited about this. Another thing as well, not only is you know that concern a thing for me, this thing could be huge, and if it is as big as it looks, you're not going to carry that around. So there,
I'd kind of push back on that. Like if it's,
yeah.
I mean, the Steam Deck is significantly larger than a Switch, and that's still
Yeah, no, no,
pretty portable.
no, that's for sure. The Steam Deck is, but again, like I don't bring the Steam Deck with me unless I'm going on like a plane or something like that. It wouldn't be like a train or something. It would be like a much, um, and it's for safety reasons more than anything else. On a plane, you're there and you're kind of in your own space. While on a train, it's a bit more movable, and the reason why is because the Switch is that bit smaller. But they could get rid of that. Like they could bring in a smaller version. But like I'm intrigued to see the real sweetener for me would be what they allow you to do with it. Because I think the Switch, while great, still a really good bit of hardware, very portable, some great games on it. They need to start opening this up, so you can actually use it like an Android device or something like that.
Okay, I
Hell
mean
will
that's
freeze over before they open up the IP. Nintendo will never do that.
I know,
well, I
but
mean
but
that's why I kind of pushed back about to the controversy of many against kind of expanding the Switch last week because to me the Switch as a family person, like, it occupies this nice space where it's powerful enough to kind of carry relatively new games,
mm,
but it's not so powerful that A, it's with beyond price reach, or B, it's beyond accessibility. And I think Nintendo's The Switch kind of occupies a weird space where like you have your kind of high powered computers and PlayStation 5 people, and you have people who want to kind of play something simple and easy, and it's in that weird nebulous space between the two, you know?
but here's what's
No, but
crazy.
Kean, let me pitch this to you though. I think I reckon because Nintendo have been pretty consumer friendly, like with just kind of with accessibility and that. So I think I don't think the Switch 2 will be an 800 quid console. I don't see that. Like they still want to be a mass market appeal console. If you remember, and let me throw your mind back to your Kingdom Hearts experience.
I was about to say, okay, you were going to talk about Kingdom Hearts, weren't you?
Like that's don't you wish you could have a console that that didn't have to try and stream those games? Like they are not labor intensive games. Like that's a PS2 game that got a spit shine.
I suppose, but like at the same time, like I consider that to be like not the mainstream example of the things they tried to do on the Switch. If every kind of like I could not care less about graphical fidelity, for example, which is the big things that a lot of the newer consoles focus on. And I wouldn't want a load of games coming onto the Switch that focus on the types of things that gamers of the Xbox and PlayStations prioritize, you know?
I mean, I got a PS5.
Yeah.
I got a PS5, so I can play Jurassic World 2.
But that's exactly what I mean. Like you are a hobbyist.
Well, that was a graphic,
I play the Switch, but I'm not like a video game hobbyist. And I don't want to end up purchasing games or having to pay more for games which have features that I don't necessarily care about, you know?
Here's the thing. I just want to weigh on this real quick.
Sure.
the landscape of handheld gaming has changed drastically, right? And dramatically from the time of the Switch to now, right? So not only did we have the Steam Deck, which is really like, I'll be honest with you, for a lot of people, the gaming PC, it's a gaming PC killer in lots of ways. I mean, I play this, and I think Kev, you're the same. I play my Steam Deck more than I would my gaming PC, right?
Mm.
Um, but there's also a whole other subset of, and ironically enough, it was to get a handheld Dreamcast. Like that's why I went on this like journey where you're trying to get something that can play kind of everything and is worth carrying around. Now the Switch still wins because of portability, because the Switch Lite is so perfect for what it is, but it's very, very limited. But there are these other options, Android based, Windows PC based, and um they're not any much heavier than a Switch Lite, and they're not any much bigger than that. So I think for a lot of people, like, this could actually bite Nintendo really badly if it does go that way. Where like yes, they'll have their Mario's, they'll have their Donkey Kongs, they'll have whatever, but for a lot of people, they're probably going to make the decision that you're going to make, Keen. Where like, well, look, we already have a Switch, we can't really afford another one because this is, we're happy here. Um, the actual kickback could be a lot of people who, unless you're a hardcore Nintendo fan, which boo if you are, you should be Sega fans. They're just gonna be like, no, I don't want to do this, and they'll lose out to someone who wants something that can play the games, but also do that little bit extra. And I think this could be like if I was Valve now, I would be working on a smaller Steam Deck to compete, and I think that's like that would wipe it out completely. So
Right.
I still no. I don't think Nintendo's market share is in that much trouble.
No, sorry, I don't think they're in trouble, but the handheld, like, dude, there's
I
many good
completely
options.
agree with you. It was like when it came onto the market, it was one of a kind, and it kind of had no comparison. Now
Like,
now it does have competition.
like real competition, not like
Yeah.
not something terrible. Like, I mean, there are some like what's it, the Odins, fantastic bit of technology, fantastic. Like again, for me and for like what would win here with this, right? Honestly, all bias aside, it comes down to like it's actually on the OS level. It's not even on the hardware level. It's like what can the actual operating system allow you to do? That's what will win it. It's crazy, but that is the truth of it. I mean, if Nintendo have a brilliant OS and everything is accessible, you don't need to stream games, and it can do the thing, even at a higher price point, even if it's like €20 more, people will pay for it. But if they don't do the thing, they will lose. I guarantee it. Guarantee it.
Lose to what though?
They'll lose to either the Steam Deck, which will get smaller, or to a third party being like the Odins, the Lokis.
But that comes back to, like I was saying, you're talking as a hobbyist. I'm talking like me and the other parents I know who wouldn't know what a Steam Deck is.
Well, they're going to hang on to the Switch anyway. They're not going to buy a Switch 2 for at least another 3 years, 4 years.
Like, I'll give you an anecdotal example. Like, I think which of the PlayStation stores closed down? Was the PlayStation 3 store, was it?
Yeah.
So a friend of mine was gutted that he couldn't buy songs for like Rock Band anymore or something like that. Like he could, that collection's now locked. There are songs he will never be able to download. I'm talking that crowd,
That's what I mean.
Stick with the Switches and all that. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying to you. Like, your market here isn't your hobbyists. Sorry, isn't your hobbyist. It's going to be, or isn't the families. It's going to be people who are in between, right? Like the Nintendo fanboys and girls are going to go out and get this day one, right? You'll have people who want the games specifically because they want the game upgrades or like that.
Yeah.
But what will win and lose this is the in-betweens. They're like, okay, look, I go away for work, or I have a bit of time when I'm looking after the kids, blah 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 blah. They're like that middle ground kind of thing. That's who's going to make most of your money. And if it doesn't appeal to them, or if there's a cheaper option that does more, or even like if they're just like, well, look, I can just get a Switch. I mean, it's still there. Like, it's so. This feels like Xbox One all over again. With that launch, that just wiped itself out overnight.
Again, consider the Switch is 9 years old.
Yeah, and it's brilliant. I play the Switch anytime I'm going away on tour or I'm traveling. The Switch lives on my bag, dude. It's great.
Yeah, I think it is due an upgrade. I think it's due a top up. I won't get it day one, but I'll probably end up getting one within like the first year.
Okay. See, I'd probably get one within 3 years, realistically, if it was to upgrade. But then again, I mean, that's a lot of money that's been left on the table, straight away. So like, look, I could be sitting here and it could be the best thing ever, but Nintendo have to really sell it to me and to a lot of other people.
I think that's you're coming at it from the point of view of like an emulator, from the point of view of a tinkerer.
Correct. Yeah.
As a consumer, for me, it's gonna be the library.
Fair.
It's gonna be what first part, because that's always been Nintendo's bread and butter. Has been first party IP.
But it still comes back to software. I mean, like, I think that's what wins and loses this. It's not how powerful the machine is, which is why the specs don't really matter. It will come down to what it can do day one, or even let's be really kind, within 6 months. If it has like that was the big thing with the even though they're completely different, that was the big criticism with the PS5. It was like, well, there's no games. It's like, yeah, but you can play all your PS4 games and then the PS5 games when they come out. And now it's happened, what, like 2 years later? Even more, like
5.
Yeah, but I mean, like, since the big rush. No. The big rush was like
2020. It was 5 years. The PS5 has been out nearly 5 years.
yeah, but the 2020, nobody was able to get a PS5 because of the shortages. So it wasn't until like 2021, 2022 when you could physically get one. And there were no games, so you'd play the PS5 games. But now, 2 years after that, the big games are dropping. So, I mean, that hit Sony real hard. So Nintendo could be there. But again, these are big companies, so they could probably weather that storm.
But I remember that being a thing with the PlayStation 3. I've probably said it before on the show. Like, I got a PlayStation 3 straight away. And one, we got one that wasn't backwards compatible with the PlayStation 2 games. And two, the only games I remember being out were like Assassin's Creed, Heavenly Sword, Ratchet and Clank 5, maybe. And so we had this machine that was just a glorified DVD player. And then it broke within 2 months. Like, this is why I'm skeptical of, like, to be honest, any new consoles, unless they've been out for a year or two. Like you said, the 6 months test, Dara.
I see what's happened here. You have become skeptical because the worst machine on the planet burned you.
Yes! In fact, possibly literally burnt. That thing had fans for days.
Oh, yeah, no, the original PS3s were quite a beast.
A nightmare. There's a reason that you have not seen many ports of PS3 games. From hardware to software to game development, that console did not work. And I love the PS3. That library is still great.
That's the icing on the cake. As a special treat, it came with a Blu-ray of Spider-Man 3.
Just to rub salt in the wounds.
Oh boy. Okay, now your argument is making a lot more sense to me.
I'm like the only person on earth who likes Spider-Man 3, and I still feel like that was like an extra kick in the teeth.
I like Spider-Man 3. The finger guns are the best part.
What?
You know he walks
the dance.
He's doing the finger gun dance.
I did rewatch it before No Way Home, and it holds up better than you remember it. It's not great. It's the worst of the trilogy, but it's actually still a blast. Its main problem is that it has too many villains.
Yeah, a nice little thought exercise I do is like, what can you take out of Spider-Man 3 to actually make it okay? And it mostly just comes down to if Harry Osborn wasn't in the first 2/3 of it, it'd be much stronger.
Yeah. I'd say take out Venom, just entirely.
Yeah. And I like Topher Grace.
I'd keep the black suit, but maybe not do Venom. Hold that over for a fourth movie that hasn't been made. Like,
yeah, I think the reason that was added was basically the producer, Ariad, I think is his name, really, really wanted Venom. So he's like, no, Venom's in it, make it work.
Well, I mean, like, because I used to do the DVD commentaries in Spider-Man 3. Originally, the plan was it was going to be the Vulture, played by Ben Kingsley.
Yes, I heard this.
And there was going to be no Venom, no black suit. But it was going to be Harry Osborn and the Vulture. And that's why, because I know you're a comic book nerd like me, Dara.
Hmm.
The Sandman has Adrian Toomes' story from the
Yes.
Marvel Knight Spider-Man, where
Yes, he
the
does.
Vulture
Yeah.
is like stealing money to get money for his sick grandson.
Mm.
But they kicked Vulture off, brought Sandman in, maybe because he's more popular, and gave him Vulture's backstory anyway.
Yeah.
And then they brought it back when Michael Keaton was the Vulture, you know? Like, so there's fingerprints of what the original one was supposed to be like.
It's definitely like a what if kind of like that was kind of. I still want the fourth one. I even want what I want the third Amazing Spider-Man. I did like the other kind of like Marvel movies that were just a complete train wreck were a train wreck because of like studio interference. So I think they would have redeemed themselves eventually, and maybe No Way Home did do that. But yeah, like three's still okay. I can still watch three and have a good time.
Do we have time to talk about David Lynch after all this nonsense?
Actually, surprisingly, yes.
Well, I mean, there's no one better than like I think that's very fitting for David Lynch, right?
What, to we'll go from Spider-Man 3 to David Lynch?
No, for nonsense.
Oh, I see.
Like, and I love David Lynch, but man, his legacy is one of complete nonsense. Like, here's the thing: I'll never forget when I was in like this was during the pandemic era, and it was before Dune 1 came out, and they were showing like randomly a cinema was just showing like COVID sensitive screenings, obviously, but like of like older movies because no movies were coming out, and it was showing like David Lynch's Dune from 1985 or 1986, whenever it came out. It was around then, and it was obviously a very like empty cinema, right? A junkie came in, sat down, looked at the screen for 10 minutes, said an expletive, and then walked out.
That I to be honest, I think he's watching David Lynch correctly.
So I mean, here's the thing. Obviously, he's a legend in cinema, but if you're not a David Lynch fan or if you don't get it, I think most people's reaction is going to be like that.
Well, no, I mean that's like, let's not put the cart before the horse. He definitely like kind of found a way to make surreal movies and Twin Peaks as TV shows by extension
Yeah, and Twin
into
Peaks is great.
something that was like successful in a mainstream way, like,
To an extent. I mean, like Twin Peaks is the cultural impact of Twin Peaks is huge. Consider the fact that most people who say they like Twin Peaks probably never even watched Twin Peaks. They just know about it,
well, through The Simpsons probably,
or
yeah.
through The Simpsons. Exactly. Yeah. Like I mean, that's how I know a lot about Twin Peaks without before I actually sat down and watched it. Oh, that's the same with Kubrick though as well. I mean, most people know about Stanley Kubrick through The Simpsons. So no judgment, but like Eraserhead is a hard watch for a lot of people.
Yes, I've seen that one. That's you have to be in a certain mood to watch that one.
Yeah, you do. Like I mean, David Lynch was one of those directors where you couldn't just sit there and go, "Oh, let's stick on one of his movies for the laugh." You're like, no, you had to be really kind of ready for it. Twin Peaks was the only kind of thing where you could just stick on and start to enjoy. But I mean, even his impact beyond that was huge. Like, did you guys play Deadly Premonition 1 or 2?
No, what is it?
But I have played Alan Wake. So.
Yeah, actually, yeah. So that's a kind of a spiritual, like a spiritual successor to that. But Deadly Premonition is a game that came out a couple of years ago, probably 20 years ago now. Because every time I say a couple of years ago, it gets longer and longer. But yeah, and basically it was Twin Peaks the game, to the point that they were sued to be like, stop making Twin Peaks the game. But they made it anyway, changed a few things, and it's stuff like that that like makes it live on for years. Like everyone's going to know who David Lynch is, even if they don't know who it is. So it's a massive loss. It sucks. Like even in the band, we were big fans of David Lynch's work, so it really hit us quite hard. But yeah,
absolutely. And there's so few like auteur filmmakers left in the current cinema landscape.
Yeah, exactly.
That like to lose any one of them, well, it would be, obviously it'd be a huge loss anytime, but especially now it feels like really like poignant. Like,
but to lose one that's like so earnest as well. I mean, like Tommy Wiseau is also a surrealist author director.
Yeah, but he's that by accident.
That's what I mean. Like he kind of fell into celebrity completely by accident, and for some shady reasons compared to like David Lynch, who was like, I actually want to put this to screen and make people think. Tommy Wiseau's like has done that by accident in a weird way. Sorry, I've
Yeah.
talked too long. Go on.
No, it's fine. It's funny because I know that Kev has some Christopher Nolan news, and like really how many directors are there left who like you would go to the cinema because it's their movie? Like,
I think there's
Nolan, Tarantino. Like, I mean, I suppose people came back for Gladiator 2 with Ridley Scott, but there's not many left. Like,
no, but I think I think we're getting into a renaissance of that sort of art, because I think franchise filmmaking, not to bring Marvel into the equation, but that's part of it, kind of killed the idea of the auteur director. And that's even going back as far as like the 90s. I think the 80s was kind of the last kind of bastion of filmmakers for like making films by name. I think we're seeing bits of it crop back up now, though. I mean, Villeneuve is probably one of the biggest ones.
I was going to say the Dune connection there, yeah.
Yeah. Like Christopher Nolan's obviously probably the biggest name right now of just a Christopher Nolan movie. Villeneuve's made his mark as like an auteur filmmaker. And then even kind of like smaller guys like Luca Guadagnino. I think a lot of people went to just see Challengers because it was a Luca Guadagnino film.
That's a fair comparison. No, I know you didn't like it, but the director of Robert Eggers, is it?
Robert Eggers, yeah, Nosferatu, yeah, like that's Robert Eggers is
yeah.
Certainly an auteur director. Yeah, absolutely. Like I would go, like I wasn't mad on Nosferatu. I thought it was fine. Probably the weakest of his work. But Robert Eggers is a filmmaker I'd go to because it's a Robert Eggers film.
Yeah. I'd go see a Mike Flanagan thing as well, but he kind of navigates the streaming space as well as like the cinema space, like.
So like yeah, and I mean now
Greta Gerwig. There's another
Greta Gerwig. He's made his mark now with kind of whodunits, but Ryan Johnson.
Oh
like,
yeah. Okay, maybe you're right. Maybe there's
like,
sort of a claiming back.
There is more. Yeah, like more and more and more. It is. I am noticing films being advertised at least by the creator of, if it's not, a such and such film.
Yeah.
So I think like we're seeing a new landscape of it gradually coming in,
which is cool.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Do you think that like the likes of Marvel will have a resurgence?
No.
That, though.
No.
I don't know. I mean, the next few projects look pretty good, you know.
So here's the funny thing. So I had this Captain America thing. While I'm looking forward to it, and I am right. Apparently, it costs $3 million a minute.
A minute.
A minute because of all the reshoots.
I'm gonna put that all on Harrison Ford.
Yeah, because of all the reshoots, because of all the CGI, because of all the script changes. $3 million a minute.
Right.
So,
but see, Marvel, the money you put into it is deceptive, because if it puts Harrison Ford in an Avengers movie further down the line, that investment may pay off, like, you know.
Yeah, but remember we had that Indiana Jones movie that came out 2 years ago.
Yeah,
and that also cost a lot of money because of all the CGI, and that bombed. So I mean, look, the Marvel thing. I could be wrong, but I'm not holding my hope out here for this because
I'm looking forward more to the Thunderbolts personally.
Yeah, the Thunderbolts could be great. It could be great, but like I mean, like the Red Hulk's cool. There's some cool things in Brave New World, but I'm still just like, oh, okay, we'll see what happens here.
Well, with whatever time we've left, Kev was teasing some sort of announcement.
Oh yes,
about the new.
Well, that's I think while we're on the topic of auteur filmmakers, I actually. Now, this is definitely old news, but I only just found out that Christopher Nolan's next movie was going to be an adaptation of Homer's Odyssey.
Yeah.
Don't know how I didn't catch wind of that before. Which, fascinating. I don't know how he's going to do it. Because the Odyssey.
Is it going to be, like, before you get into it, is it going to be, like, one film, or is it going to be, like, a Dune situation?
Unclear.
Okay.
I mean, like, even with Dune, they didn't make that clear until it came out.
No. See, look, the Odyssey... To be fair, it's, as my college lecturer said, it's a thumping good read, which it is. The Iliad is not. The Iliad's quite awful, to be fair. The problem is that it's over a 10 year time span, but like you can really divide it into 5 events. You have obviously leaving Troy, the Trojan horse, so that's one. You have like wandering, you have going through the sea monsters, that's two. You have going on the island with the Cyclops, going to the underworld, maybe that's three. Then you have the return home. So yeah, you could do it. I mean, it would be it would be a long movie.
Simpsons did it in 7 minutes.
Which
Yeah, but they also cut a lot out. They cut a lot
Yeah.
out.
and I mean to that though, like Christopher Nolan's no slouch with runtimes. Like
Exactly.
I think
Yeah, you could actually get it in a nice 3 hour movie, but it'd be a long movie.
that's it. It like what my hope would be is that he kind of goes not back because he hasn't done it, but I kind of hope he makes it a sandals and swords affair.
Yeah,
Makes a real Ben Hur out of it.
Well, you know what, right? So Troy, it's funny because I was watching some stuff on Troy, and when that movie came out, it wasn't really received well. And I think that's quite unfair because the movie is actually really not bad. It's
No,
not
it's
great.
grand. Like there's some good
not bad.
performances in it, but it definitely
It's very silly.
It's
Oh, yeah, of
weird.
course
It's a proper classic movie, but it's got that weird mid 2000s sheen.
Yes.
It looks, you know.
Yes, that is actually the problem with the movie, to be fair.
Yeah.
That is the problem with the film. But look, I think we've missed that. You know, we missed that kind of swords and sandals big movie feel. Okay, so look, you teased it before we went on air. Who's playing Odysseus?
So, well, okay. First things first. One guess each. Who do you think is playing Odysseus?
So I guess beforehand, but I'm going to take this as a second guess. Christopher Nolan. Sorry, not Christopher Nolan. Sorry,
No, not an awful
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale.
Can I ask a question before I make my
Yes.
guess? And I'm not
Okay.
like, is it someone who has worked with Christopher Nolan before?
Oh, that's a good question.
No,
I should ask that.
no, it is not.
That's what my guess is
Okay.
based on. Damn it.
All right. Okay, I would have said Tom Hardy otherwise.
Oh, it's a great guess.
Okay.
Great guess.
In that case, if it's someone completely pulled out of the ether, I'm gonna take a wild card guess and say maybe Dave Bautista.
No. And here's the thing, right? Looking at least the three guys you mentioned, Batista, Bale,
Well,
and
it's Chalamet, isn't
Tom
it?
Hardy. That's the it's not that sort of archetype. It's not Chalamet. It's
Right.
Tom Holland.
What?
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
No, I mean, no, hold on. The last Odysseus was Sean Bean, and that actually was good casting.
Okay.
Well, hang on a minute, actually, just to play devil's advocate. Is Odysseus like the narrator, or is he like the hero who does everything?
The
there
hero
is-
does everything.
He's the hero that does
Well,
everything.
he's the protagonist. He's the guy who sails the ship and fights the Cyclops. And
Okay, so
Yada, yada.
he is the Hercules of the story then.
No, not necessarily, because he uses his brain, and he's done as the wily Odysseus. He doesn't really fight anybody.
But that's what I mean. So
that's
like
not
it could
his,
be
like-
like a scrappy underdog type thing. It's
Not-
not
no.
not like he needs to be like Dwayne the Rock Johnson or something.
No, he's more like Batman.
Okay.
yeah,
Hence
no,
the Christian
actually,
Bale
no,
guess. Right.
you're kind of on it. I don't know, and that's the thing. That's why I think that like it's interesting. I think because listen, Tom Holland is older than me. He is, I think, like 33, 35 maybe even. But he's still kind of got this typecast as kind of a young teenage boy
Yeah.
Because he looks like one.
because he looks like one. And I think he tried to break that with Uncharted, but the problem was that was a bad movie.
Yeah, but also they had to have Mark Wahlberg in, who looked more like the protagonist of Uncharted.
That's true.
And back
He really
to the
did.
point of, and again, going back to the point of bad movie with bad people.
I mean, yeah, go on, sorry.
I think if there's anyone that can break him out of that shell and put him into something like, put him down as something different and interesting, I think Christopher Nolan could do it.
I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, like I said, in Dune 2, they somehow found a way to make Timothée Chalamet scaring Dave Bautista off by his very presence work. Any filmmaker can make it like make sense. But it does feel like a bit of a weird, wild
It's an
swing,
odd
though.
choice.
I'm not a fan of this.
I'm a remains to be seen kind of guy.
No, I think they should
Because
cancel it now and give everybody their money back.
They have not started making it yet.
No, I'm gonna let it sit because Nolan has had a good run of leading guys.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's
Cillian
great.
Murphy's
Like Tom Hardy kind of came out of like Christopher Nolan. So did Cillian Murphy come out of kind of the Christopher Nolan?
Hold on a second. So look, this would be that movie was a bomb as well. I never
Which
was
one?
so bored in my whole life.
Which movie?
The one with your man in it, Cillian Murphy.
Oppenheimer.
That could be so
Yeah,
many.
that one. I was on my phone the whole time, and I was bored to tears.
Oppenheimer, the thing that defined the summer along with Barbie.
I was not a fan of that either.
Okay, but I think it's fair to say you are not in the majority consensus on that.
No, that's fair, but I'm just saying, I'm like, he does make stinkers sometimes, and there are two of them.
I mean, like I wasn't wild about Tenet, but I don't think there's any.
Tenet was unreal. Tenet was great.
I mean, maybe it's 'cause I watched it on a TV, but I found it to be all spectacle and not much substance.
Fair. I like Tenet.
It's hard for me to gauge. I'm a mark for Nolan. I don't think he's made a bad movie.
I would agree with that.
So am I as well. That's why I was so disappointed with Oppenheimer. I thought it was boring.
But doesn't that speak to like a good filmmaker though, that you can like some of their stuff and dislike other stuff?
Yeah,
like
Murphy,
they're not cranking out the same thing over and over.
Can I be controversial here for a minute? If I'm allowed.
Could you be
No.
Am I allowed to be controversial for a minute?
I mean, no one could possibly stop you.
Okay. I think Cillian Murphy is overrated and should probably give up.
No. I'm sorry, you're wrong.
Real bad. Real bad.
Overrated. He's only become like really popular since Oppenheimer.
Yeah, real boring.
That's not true. The Peaky Blinders has been a massive thing for.
I think we're not seeing the forest for the trees, considering he lives up the road from you. Like it's hard for us to.
He's literally in my area.
Should we go up and tell him to stop acting?
Absolutely not. You could do that, Darren. There you go. There's your job.
We do not condone going up to random people and telling them things. However, if he is listening, if you are listening, Cillian Murphy, maybe go up the L acting thing.
Or
maybe keep acting.
And also, while you're at it, check out our social media.
There you go. Even better again.
You can find us. You can find them and all of our back catalogue on nerdtoknowmedia.com. And again, all of our back catalogue.
Are we really ending on that note?
On nerdtoknowmedia and youtube.com.
No, Cillian Murphy's great. Don't end on that note.
Cillian Murphy is great. And you know what else is great? Giving us money on patreon.com/nerdtoknowmedia. And
big fan of money.
Big fan of money. Big fan of Cillian Murphy. Big fan of money.
I don't condone half of that sentence, but okay.
Oh, that you don't condone?
No, I mean, Cillian Murphy is real bad. He's a really bad actor.
No, he's a great actor.
No. I haven't seen him in anything good ever.
You haven't seen anything you liked. That's not the same thing.
He's great in Intermission. Intermission's a phenomenal movie.
I mean, I haven't seen it, but my friends are raving about it the other day. We're over time, aren't we, Kev?
Yeah.
Cool.
I've already done the wrap up.
If only there was something you could cut from this episode.
Well, look.
Hey, I've done my job. You can finish this up on your own time now.
We'll sign off then on that note.
All right. Thank you very much for sticking with us in this, I think, possibly the most unplanned episode ever. So if you like what you hear, please check out our YouTube shorts and all that kind of stuff, which thank you very much to everyone who has chimed in there. But until next time, I've been Cian.
I've been Dara.
I've been Kev.
And we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Alright, so you're listening to the podcast, you're like, hey, I'm not in Ireland, how do I get in touch? Well, TuneIn has you covered. That's how you can check us out live when we're on the radio. You go to TuneIn and download the app, or you can check out the live streams on nerdtoknowmedia.com or Phoenix 92.5 FM. If you want to get in contact with us, it's very easy. Nerd to Know Media everywhere. Nerd to Know Media on Twitter, Nerd to Know Media Instagram, Nerd to Know Media on Twitch, Nerd to Know Media at gmail.com if you want to reach out via email. Hope to hear from you soon. Check out the Wrestling Rewind here on Phoenix 92.5 FM every Tuesday at 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. And of course over on nerdtoknowmedia.com, the only wrestling podcast by wrestling fans who don't hate wrestling. We'll see you then.
Thank you for listening to a Nerd to Know Media production.